Yo, welcome to the Gig Life Podcast. I'm your host, Stevie Taylor. My guest today is Chris Kamzelas, a guitarist from Sydney. Chris first came onto my radar in the early 2000s as part of the Australian Idol band. He was also in the first band of The Voice Australia for a few seasons. Since then, he's gone on to play with everyone. Back in 2019, we did a guitarist roundtable podcast, which Chris was part of the panel. Currently, Chris is part of Russell Crowe's band, the Gentlemen Barbers. He also plays around town in the Byrds, amongst others. And he has some new music out, a song he wrote about his father called Song for Angelo. So check that out. This is episode 157. Chris Kamzelas. Here we go. All right, I think we're rolling. Chris Kamzelas, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Yourself?
Yeah.
Good.
Good to be here and chatting with you after we've tried so many times.
Yeah, we have. And when I first started writing my list of people that I wanted on the podcast back in 2018, you were on that list.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it was that Australian Idol band.
Yep.
That, you know, after watching Idol, and then when deciding that I wanted to do this podcast, that I want to try and eventually talk to all those guys. And I think you're the last one.
Oh, really?
Except for John Foreman.
Ah.
Yeah, haven't been able to get hold of him, but yeah, Mark Costa, Gordo, Tony,
yep.
as a party.
Dave Pritchard?
Oh no, or Rex. Haven't spoken.
Rexy.
Yeah,
you got to get Rexy.
Yeah. And San Susie, man, I was just saying I haven't been out this way for many years when Andrew used to have the studio just around the corner there. That was the last time I was out this way.
Yeah, and there used to be a lot of us out here.
Yeah.
I'm one of the last, I think, still here.
Yeah, we were talking about it before, eh? It's like Sydney's got the different sort of hubs. There's the Marrickville hub. There's those cats out here, and then, you know, yourself and Andrew and Darwinall and Daryl and
yep.
It all used to be in this area.
I could hear Daryl sneeze from my place. That's how close it was.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what was this NRL Hall of Fame thing I saw on your Instagram yesterday? So was that last night? Was that?
That was 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago, yeah. So
and it was for legends, like inductees. I think it was Benny Elias, Paul Gallen, and Edenhausen.
Right.
And I had to play. They had massive monitor behind me with all footage, and I did a guitar God version of We Are the Champions, the Queen song.
And there was a choir as well, eh?
And there was a choir singing the chorus towards the end. Yeah.
Sounded awesome.
With pyros and all that stuff.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Rock God.
Yeah, it was a bit of fun.
So how did you end up with that gig? How do you end up with a gig like that?
So that came through a agent, Douglas Fabian Productions. Mm-hmm. And I've done work for them over the years for the same thing, you know, the New South Wales, when they announced the Origin team and,
right,
you know. So we've worked together, and they had an idea, you know, we'll get a guitar player to be, you know, the feature. And so they said, you know, called me up. Do you reckon you could do it? I'm like, yeah, no problem.
So do you need to sort of woodshed for something like that, or did you know that solo for that song?
I didn't. I just it was more playing the vocal melody and sort of making it, you know, comfortable for myself. Like, so it's a guitar thing, you know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't exactly Brian May. It was more the Freddie Mercury vocal.
Understood. Yep.
Yeah. So I did my own thing at the end, a bit of, you know, shred stuff to, you know, for the peak of it, you know. That's it. Yeah.
So how long were you on stage?
3 minutes, pretty much.
Right. So for a gig like that, when did you have to? How long is the day? So when are you having to get there?
Oh, okay. So I had to be there for we had a rehearsal at 4:15. So it was a rehearsal that went for about 40 minutes.
Yep.
You know, so get there. For that particular gig, like I normally use an amp, you know, on my gigs, like a proper amp, but I took my Fender modeler.
Yep.
Because that was going to sit by the monitor guy.
Right.
And I was on a wireless, so I didn't really need an amp behind me.
Okay,
you know?
gotcha.
So it was a quick little setup and in-ears and pretty easy, you know. Ran it a few times, get comfortable and relaxed, and that's it. And then it's dinner, you know.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then watch the show. Did you stick around for the show, like for the award ceremony, then the inductees?
No, well, there was things going on throughout the night, even before me.
Okay.
You know? So once I was done, I got out of there.
Yeah, okay,
you know?
understood. Yeah.
Packed up. I was there long enough.
Yeah, it was
Get out.
Pretty easy pack up too,
Yeah. Walk out. Nice, easy lug.
Yeah,
you know?
a little bit tougher as a drummer.
Yeah.
Can't lug out till everyone's left. So
I pretty much have a setup. I'm all about having pretty simple setups, you know.
Yep.
If I'm not a guitar player that takes 5 guitars to a gig unless it's a big, you know, concert thing, you know. Otherwise, I'm taking one guitar, I'm making things work, you know. One amp, one pedal board, that's it, you know. I'm not the 5 guitars, you know, switches and all this stuff. And, you know, keep it simple.
Yeah. So a bunch of years ago, it was November 2019. This was the last time I saw you. We did the Gig Life podcast / Guitar Speak podcast, Guitarist Roundtable. And so there was yourself, me, which is a little bit odd because I'm a drummer. But it was fun. Mark Maloof, Ben Rogers, Daniel March via Zoom, I think it was. And
that's right.
Yeah. And he kept cutting in and out.
Yep.
And coming back and leave, you know. Matt Wakeling from the Guitar Speak podcast and Pete Northcote.
Yep.
And there was a stage there where yourself and Pete, because Pete's always been the sort of the electronic, the modeler sort of guy, and you're all sort of the valve amp sort of thing. Yeah. So you know, it sounds like you've kind of gone along down the line of that sort of modelling.
Yeah,
more for the convenience, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think at that time, because I remember that whole thing with Peter, I was trying to explain that the modeler doesn't work as pedals, like the particular one I had, you know, like you could still hear the digital thing, you know.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So I wasn't saying it doesn't sound good, like in the way of what, you know, modelled amps. It was more about running it as pedals in front of an amp, a real amp.
Yeah, right.
You know, because that's what I wanted to do at the time.
Yep.
You know, find something that does that.
Yep.
And, you know, which has, like, any effect you need, you can pull it up. You know, that's what's good about these things. You know, so now I'm using that Fender Tone Master Pro, and that's like the way they've designed that now and all the updates that are coming through, and it's pretty incredible.
Right. So when did that come out?
I think about a year ago.
Yeah, right. Because that podcast was 5 odd years ago. So, and it was sort of Axifex was the
Axifex. I had the Helix floor, and they all sound good. Like it's just, for me, I think the Fender, as long as you know what things are like in the real world, I think you're going to do all right, you know, using them. And the thing about the Fender above the rest is it's got a touch screen. Everything you see on it is pretty intuitive. You know, you don't really have to get into
you don't have to
instructions.
Search the menu,
model,
click, and lists and all that sort of stuff.
No. It's really easy to use, you know. So, Yeah, it works. It's good.
Awesome.
I love it. You
Yeah.
know?
So what has the last sort of 2 months been like gig-wise? What sort of gigs you been doing?
Okay. I've been doing more local stuff. The last month, like it's picking up now, but I had a bit of a quiet time, you know. So I just made the most of hanging out with my wife and going out for dinner. And
Awesome.
even though it plays with your head, you know, like when things slow down, you're like, oh my God, what's
this is it.
Yeah, I think I'm done. No one gives a shit anymore.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Yeah. I was talking. I had Dom Cabrera on the podcast a few months ago, and he kind of worked out that there was a certain time of year where it always got slow.
Okay.
And it kind of dawned on him that, you know, that was happening sort of every year. So what he does in that time is go back to the Philippines.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. So he kind of knows it's coming now. So does some gigs and
It's
stuff.
weird,
over there.
you know. Like I guess, you know, for whatever, you know, he's got a way he runs his business. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know. But for me, it's so unpredictable.
Right.
You know, like you're thinking winter could be quiet, and then a tour comes up.
Yep.
And you're overseas. You know, it's like shit. I didn't see that coming. You know, it's all over. I can't plan it. You know.
Yeah.
Really.
Even now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just no consistency.
Things happen that, you know, like the last couple of years with Russell Crowe, you know.
Yep.
I didn't see that coming, you know.
Right.
We did an album together.
Yep.
But I didn't think he was going to take it to that point. You
Right.
know?
And we'll get more into that because
Yep.
I'm very very fascinated by all that. So I mean, you the gigs like Rockin' Byrds, that's your band with Dario and
Yep.
Fab and I guess
Susanna. But we have, like, it's all different players come through. Like, there is a set little band group of musicians.
Yep.
But we have, you know, if I'm not available, there's other guitar players that step in, you know. So, you know, yeah, Rocking Byrds, I guess, is known as Dario, me, Fab,
Yep.
Susanna, Melinda Jackson.
Yep.
You know. Yeah.
So how often does that band gig? Is that a regular thing?
Yeah, it's pretty regular.
And do you have any residencies?
There's no real residencies. It's sort of a cycle of
Cycle, right? Okay.
you know, of different venues we play.
Yep.
You know, we might play once every 2 months or so. Yeah. So it just cycles around.
Cool, man. All right. Well, let's roll it right back to the beginning, the early days, and then we'll talk about your family and how music sort of started for you. So, so you're Italian.
Greek.
So you're Greek.
Yeah.
My apologies. Were you born in Greece?
No, born in Sydney.
Born in
Yeah.
Sydney. Yep.
Yeah.
So mum and dad are from Greece
Yeah.
or grandparents?
No, mum and dad are from Greece.
Yep.
And they met here. Yeah.
And they met here. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's split that then. So which parts of Greece was your dad from, and which part was your mum
They're
from?
not far from each other.
Yep.
Like you probably wouldn't know them. Mum's from, like, it's central sort of Greece.
Yep.
A place called Thermo, you know, and Dad's from a place that no one would know. It's called Laberi.
Okay.
Yeah, up in the mountains, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And what did he do?
He was a carpenter.
Carpenter. Right.
So, yeah, he was a carpenter. They came out here, well, separately.
Yep.
You know. Mum came out with a couple of her sisters, and yeah, they met.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I've got one brother.
Okay. So where did the music come from? So was dad musician, mum musician?
No, no one was a musician, but the music did come from my brother, older brother,
Okay.
4 years older than me. So he was a massive influence on me. You know, he'd bring the records home, and from young, you know, really young. I remember being in second class and my pencil case, you know, was like AC/DC, Black Sabbath.
Yep.
You know, from back then, I didn't even know I was going to play music. Like, I was just
Yep.
loved it. I was such a fan. and, you know, playing soccer on the weekends. And so I was right into that, playing soccer, you know, and music. Yeah.
Was it always guitar then? Was it?
I wanted to play drums.
You want to play drums?
Yep. Yeah, drums was originally it was drums.
So what happened?
Okay, so
where did you make the mistake?
So I still to this day love drummers, and when I any band I play in, it seems like I'm drawn to the drummer, and I hang out with the drummer.
Yep, gotcha.
So what happened was, it came time. My dad was diagnosed with MS, and he used to take me to the to my sporting, you know, my soccer, and so that was going to sort of stop happening. You know, they saw it. You know, it was like he can't keep doing it. You know, with what was going on with him, and so they said to me, like mum and dad were like, "How about you play music? You know, like play an instrument." I was like, "Yeah, okay, I want to play drums." So at that, you know, those days it was Trading Post. You pull out the Trading Post, and I found some ads, and we went and checked out some drums at someone's house. And I think Dad thought about, holy shit, this kid's going to drive me mental. You know, acoustic drum kit in the house. Yep. You know, so we checked it out, didn't buy it. Then he was like, "What if you take up guitar?" You know. Because I loved it all really, but if you take up guitar, and you take it on and you start, you know, getting better at it, I'll buy you a really good one, you know. So that was the deal, you know. So that's how it went to guitar.
Geez, that's a risk. That's a risk, and I'm saying that because, you know, my kids. I'm very reluctant to say that. I mean, because I've got instruments all over the house and they can grab them whenever they want to play them. And my youngest daughter, she's starting to get keen on bass. And I've got my Fender Jazz and my fretless, and I've let her play around with my Fender Jazz, and she's getting real keen on it. Right?
Awesome.
But she wants her own. It's the wrong colour. So I said, if you stick with it, I'll buy you a bass. But when I say that, I'm not going to be buying her an expensive bass.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to these days because they're making such great instruments.
Great stuff. Yeah. I mean, my fretless is it's a Mexican fretless, Fender fretless, and it's well made. It's really well made, right? Yeah.
No, they're great.
Yeah.
It's funny that you said it's the wrong colour.
Yep.
Because my first electric guitar was it was this Japanese guitar, and you know I didn't know that much about them. And I remember watching Crossroads. Have you seen the movie Crossroads with Steve Vai in it? Mm-hmm. So that last performance with Vai playing that red Jackson guitar, 2 black humbuckers, tremolo system. That blew me away. So I was like walking around the shops. As soon as I saw this red guitar with 2 humbuckers, that was it. I was like, "Dad, that's the one I want." I didn't know if it was good or what, you know. So I get her, you know, it has to be right. That thing really got me psyched up, you know.
That's cool.
Even though it was average, cheapy, you know. Yeah. So you got to have things that
looks good.
Yeah, totally.
That you can look at and go, "Oh man, that's awesome."
Yeah, you go to bed and you look at it on its stand and it's like, oh,
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So who were the first guitarists that you? I mean, you said you were drawing AC/DC and Black Sabbath and stuff on your would you say
pencil case?
So were you? Was you just hearing those, or had you seen videos of those bands and then straight away you're looking at the likes of, you know, Tony Iommi or Angus or someone like that?
Yeah. It was pretty rare those days to see footage.
Right.
So we were starved for footage. So anytime we saw anything, it was like blow your brains, you know, like you'd just freak out, you know. And, you know, it was basically magazines, you know.
Yep.
Look at pictures and imagine the performance and,
Right.
you know, listen to the albums. Yeah, so the first, I guess, it was guys like Richie Blackmore,
Yep.
you know, that was massive, Rainbow and Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, Iommi, and Andy Summers. And, you know, I know I sound like a metalhead, but my favourite band's The Police. So,
Yeah.
You know, just those three are just
Incredible.
amazing. So The Police was a big part of our lives. That was my first concert.
Right.
Going to see The Police do their second last concert in Sydney.
Right.
In 84, I think it was. Early 84.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you go and see the comeback?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, in
Awesome.
07, I think that was,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But at the time, that first concert, my God, like what an experience, you know. And it was huge. It was like Bryan Adams supporting the Sunny Boys. Who else? I can't remember who else. But I just remember they came out and it was so fiery. Like Stuart Copeland was just like, what a performer.
Yeah.
What a style. What an innovator, you know.
Yep.
Anyway, I could go on about them. They're just,
Yeah.
amazing.
Do you remember the first album you bought? Guitar specific?
Oh, Back in Black.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. First album. Actually, there was 2 singles we bought. It was Shook Me All Night Long and I think it was Walking on the Moon. They were the first bits of vinyl, you know, singles.
Yep.
And then the albums, Back in Black. And was it Regatta de Blanc? The Police. And then we got, you know, all the Police albums.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, what about teachers, guitar teachers?
So
Self-taught, or did you find someone?
Yeah, mainly self-taught.
Yep.
So I started with this. I don't think I don't know where he is now, but this guitar teacher, he played in Greek bands, and he was in Beverly Hills. So I grew up in Narwee, and I went to lessons there for a couple of months. But I was you know, one of those kids that I wasn't interested in playing.
Yeah.
You know, Mel Bay.
Just teach me that riff, man.
Yeah, I'm like, because he was a bit of a Blackmore fan, you know.
Yep.
And I'd be like, oh, I want to learn the, you know, riffs. And he's like, I can't show you the riffs. You need to learn this stuff first. So I was just a shitty student.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And I'd go home, put the albums on, and then I'd try to work it out. And I think he did me a favour in that way because I started developing my ear, you know.
Right.
So I was working out all the riffs. And so, you know, I'm that person that's basically hands-on. Like, I'm not really a studier, you know.
Gotcha.
I need to experience things, you know. I think it's been like that all along for me. You know.
Did you teach yourself to sort of? I'm going right forward now, because I saw when we were upstairs, you've got a chord sheet written out, handwritten out.
Oh yeah,
some stuff. So did you teach yourself how to write charts, or was that something that was developed with the help of someone?
I guess over time, you actually do things like people. You see other people's
They
charts.
show you a way.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
And then
right.
it's pretty simple what I do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. So not something that you would have picked up from a lesson. So you didn't take away any of the actual theory?
Actually, you know what? I'm leaving out one thing. About 3 or 4 years into playing, I did go to lessons for about 6 months to a friend of mine who's an amazing musician, Tony Svetkovsky. Do you know him?
No.
He's like, he knows everything about theory.
Right.
He's a guitar player. He teaches at JMC now, but he was such a big influence on me too, you know, because he was a fan of the same stuff I was, you know, but he was really educated, you know, in music. So he used to show me a lot. Like, I've got books of his writing, you know, teaching me the modes and all that. So I did learn theory in the way of chord formulas and notes.
Right.
And, yeah,
Gotcha.
so I'm not just totally blind.
Yeah, no, that answers the question. Yeah.
Yeah.
When was your first band? Was it out of school?
First band was in school.
Sorry. Was it a band that sort of came out from school?
Yeah. So, we had a school band, and it was a pretty good band. Like, we didn't really have a very good music department.
Right.
And we sort of our band got that going in the school because we entered in, New South Wales band competitions, and there was one that we came second in, and we had a great singer, Peter Millwood, his name was.
I've heard of him.
So he gigs around, right? But back in when we were at school, he sounded like Farnham.
Yeah, wow.
So we were doing Farnham songs, Bon Jovi. We had a killer singer up front. I was doing like Satriani covers. The band was really good.
Yeah.
So we ended up coming second in the New South Wales bands competition and school band competition. I won a guitar, for best guitar player.
Best solo.
All
Do you remember
stuff.
what that guitar was?
Yeah, so it was a Ibanez.
Yep.
But it was like, at the time, I had already bought a Charvel Model 4,
Right.
which was a pretty good guitar. And so, I got that Ibanez and I sold it. I didn't even keep it.
Yeah.
But, it was funny, because I was really shy as a kid. So I remember when they announced it, I had to go up on stage and they presented me with the guitar. But it was so funny when I look back, because I walked on stage and basically grabbed the guitar and walked straight off. I didn't really acknowledge anyone. I was just like super shy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nervous all the time playing, but you do it because you love it.
You love it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's your emotional expression, isn't it? Playing.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to wave and say thank you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So while you're in school, you're playing in the band, you're learning guitar. Was it at that stage where you thought, okay, well, music, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life? Or was it a case of, did you have your mum and dad sort of saying, hey, son, you need to do a trade or something like that? Were they supportive of, if you did go down that, musician path, were they supportive of that? Because the reason I'm saying that is, for me, it was my mum and dad said that me and my two brothers, we all had to get trades. And then whatever you want to do after that, that's fine. You've got your trade to fall back on. And I've spoken to a number of other, guys over the years that's been the same sort of deal. You get your trade first, then you can go and be a rock star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, same thing for me. It's just, I was like, there was not going to be anything, a trade for me.
Yep.
But I did leave school and I went to TAFE to do electrical trades course. But my brain was not
in it.
Oh, I knew I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, okay.
It was just keep the parents happy, and come home, practice.
Yeah.
I couldn't see myself doing anything else.
Right.
It's probably totally naive thinking, you fantasize about, I'm going to be in a band and, like it's going to make it. And, it's all that cliche, it was music all the way. So it was just to keep my parents quiet. And, that's what I was going to say. My brother was on my side. So if my parents sort of doubted it, he was,
back
he
you
was
up.
reassuring him, he's pretty
good.
determined.
Yep. Oh, so is your brother a musician as well?
No,
not at all. Just
no, he's not a
music lover.
Yeah, but he's I think he's more full on than me. Like into music, in the way of he listens to more stuff.
Okay.
He's more up to date with what's going on than I am. I keep going back to the same stuff.
Same stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, all right. So, do you remember your first paid gig?
Yeah, it was a band called the Hasty Pirates. it was a covers band, and the funny thing was they had a plan. I was 17, so I was playing underage in the in the clubs, but they had a plan. I don't know if you went through this, but we've got this band and we're going to make money and we're going to have a bank account and we're going to save the money and our band's going to, then we're going to do originals and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I remember that happening and I was just like, I don't, you're going to have to pay me. I'm not part of that plan.
Okay.
I was set straight away. Like I'm not going to stay. Like I'm loving playing in this band because we had a great set list. It was all the stuff I love to play, and some pretty good musicians. But I knew I was going to take off. I think they did too. But I just maybe it's the Greek thing. My dad. Where are you going, and why aren't they paying you? You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's probably why I had to stand up.
Gotcha.
Because I couldn't go home and say I played for nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, we got paid, but we're gonna put it back into the band. Fucking what a load of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was that. That's another thing, right? With my parents, not knowing. My dad's a tradesman. Not knowing that world. I didn't come from, a family that's got music and musicians and understanding what it's like to be a professional, So I did struggle for a little while with my dad, Not that he was not into what I was doing, but I'd be walking out the door and at the time I had an originals band with Richie. Do you know Richie Vez? Plays for Mark Lizotte, bass player?
No.
Okay.
I know the name.
He's super talented dude.
Right.
So me, Richie, Fab, Amadei, and Andre Kamen. Yeah. So we had an originals band, and we rehearsed like all week long. We had this studio in Cogro that we used to go to and basically live there. I'd be walking out the door and Dad would be going, "Where are you going?" Rehearsing, practice. And he'd be like, "Are they paying you to do that?" And I'm like, "No." And that was in the back of my head all the time. I struggled for years trying to understand, you know what, it's part of your development for later, what's to come, So he didn't quite get it at the time, but...
Was it making you then more sort of conscious of when you were going to get to the point of making money?
Oh, 100%.
Because you'd want to go home and say, "Hey, Dad, look, we've got this gig and we're going to get paid," so to kind of get them off your back a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it was always in the back of my head. I was that kid, even at school, I'm not like an academic type, obviously. But if I had a school project to do, or I felt like I was and I didn't do it, I felt like I was letting down my parents. I always had that in the back of my head.
Okay.
Because I think they go to work every day, they make money, to look after us, and I'm being careless. But I did nothing about it.
Right.
But it was always that little thing in me. I don't know if you've had that, but, you always think about your parents and...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit different for me because, like I said, we had to do our trades.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel so bad after, doing a day's work or whatever.
Yeah, so you're...
ducking off and going out to rehearsal. And
you're doing the right thing. See, I wasn't prepared to even do that.
Right.
So I'm battling in my head. It's my own shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did your mum do for work? What was her...
Seamstress.
Right,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so she was in clothing.
Yep.
Yeah. But she came out here when she was like 17 and fell into that, did what she had to do, And And, you know, she's had it tough too, because when my dad got sick, she really looked after him.
Right.
You know, really, yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Mm. Can we talk about that a little bit? Because then we'll get to, you know, you've just recently released a song for Angelo, which is a song you wrote and recorded and performed about your dad. And in the sort of write-up for that, you talk about how your dad got MS when he was he 40 or 45?
Yeah, early 40s, but there were signs of it before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, what were those signs? And you know, you were talking about how you were into soccer and stuff like that, and it got to a point where your parents weren't able to take you to soccer anymore. So how long from, you know, when he started developing the MS did it get to a point where...
It was a slow deterioration.
Was it?
So,
okay.
Yeah. So he lived till he was 75.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Right.
But to the point of, you know, not being able to move, like, you know, we had a hoist in the bedroom to get him out of bed.
Okay.
It was, you know, pretty full on.
That's rough, man.
Yeah.
Mm. And what did that sort of do to him mentally? Was he a positive man? He
was a doer, you know, like from when he was young, like, and a perfectionist. And I remember him trying to show me stuff. Like, he wanted if I was building a pedal board, he wanted to help me and get it all done properly. And I was more get it done.
Just get it done.
I'm out of here, you know. But he was that guy, you know, a family man, you know, very decent person, you know. And to see him, you know, this, I guess for a man of that sort of generation, you know, it's hard because, you know, you're expected to look after family, you know. Mm-hmm. So I saw him struggle.
Right.
Yeah, he struggled. You know, towards the end he was over it. You know, I could tell. He told me, anyways.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit. We'll go forward and talk a little bit about that song then. So what I might do, I might play a little bit of it.
Yeah,
if that's all right. Beautiful song. So
thanks, man.
People listening, you have to listen to the whole thing. There's a link for it in the show notes. Go check it out. So when did the idea of that song? Was this something that you started writing years ago?
No, last year.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. I was just mucking around on the acoustic and came up with that intro, the chords. Mm-hmm. So I thought, I better capture that. So I went up into the studio and started recording it, and before you know it, you know, you're coming up with everything. Like it just starts happening. And so I came up with the first part of the tune because it's in two parts. So did that, and then I thought, it needs to go somewhere now, you know. So I came up with the next part, and it just flows. And that's why I sort of dedicate it to my dad, because it feels like it takes you on a journey. You know, it's not sort of a song with verse, choruses.
Yep.
It's very much like what you heard there, that melody, that only happens at that time of the song. Right. Doesn't happen again, you know. And then we're on to the next part two. There's another melody that happens. It's real hooky.
Yeah. So
you know it sticks in your head, but it never happens twice.
Right, gotcha.
You know, that's what I like about it. And then it just takes off and it feels like it's telling the story to the end, you know. So I'm, really happy and proud of that. So.
Awesome, man. It's good.
Yeah.
Very good. I was saying to you before, I mean, you've got a couple of other songs that you've released.
Yep.
And, I'm surprised you haven't released more.
Well, there's a lot on the hard drive, and I think it's time.
It's time to get it out.
Don't be so precious. Get it out, and they're just moments,
Yep.
You move on, but I think they need to be out there, and if anyone looks up my name, they can listen to it. So, that's just sort of, I've just worked that one out.
So were you sort of, you had those songs where you're thinking, there's no way this is going to be right to release. I'll leave it in the hard drive.
Yeah,
just as an idea at the time.
I had a plan to release an EP. So those two songs, the other two songs that are on Spotify, there's more songs from that period.
From that era.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think I'm going to make that into a EP. And so it's a stack of songs of that time. And then there's a whole bunch of other tunes that came later that are not they're a bit different to that style.
Yep.
But at the time I thought, this was back in 2012, I thought, man, I'm going to front a band. Like I was really going down that path in my head.
Right.
But I listen to it now, and my voice sounds okay on the recordings.
It does, yeah.
But I hear, there's no way I could have done it, at the time, because I didn't know my voice in the way of, now I know how to shape it, how to take care of it. Mm-hmm. Whereas back then I was just like, it's got to be loud. And, and in the studio it's fine, but if you get out on a gig, you're gone.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So I'm just getting to building up to when music became full-time. So you had that originals band. When did it get to a point where that band wasn't going to be sustainable? And when did you start thinking about, we're going to start actually making some money here?
So what happened was, we had this originals band, but I had already started playing for artists.
Right, okay.
So I'd already played with Mark Williams. I was in a band, Ardija.
Mm-hmm.
You know Ardija?
Were you in Ardija?
I was in Ardija, man.
Wow, man, far out.
Yeah,
so one of my favourite bands back in the day. My quick Ardija story. My dad's a musician, and they used to play at this venue in my hometown of Masterton called the Solway Park, and they would play the Friday, Saturday nights sort of thing down there. And they were down there one Saturday night, and this new band, this New Zealand band with this funky bass player, was actually at the Solway Park playing in another room, and Dad and his bandmate got to talking to them, and they gave Dad an album.
Would have been their first album.
First album, yep. Yeah. And then just, you just listen to that bass playing and something else.
He's got the groove.
He's something else.
And Betty was just ridiculous.
Awesome.
Well, I played on their second and third.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how, because
I toured New Zealand with them.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So I met them through Mark Williams.
Okay.
Because we played for Mark Williams, and then Ryan asked me to be a part of their band.
Right.
So that was the next stage. And then from there, so in the meantime, I'm doing originals with my mates. And I joined Christina New's band after that. Daryl Beaton was in that as well.
Was that the sort of My Island Home sort of era?
It was just after.
Yeah.
Yeah, so around that time, but after all the, the massive,
Okay, understood.
Yeah. So, it went on to Christine. It just kept sort of slowly escalating,
Right.
Then I joined Richard Clapton's band for 5 years. I was in that. And that's during that time, that's where our originals band broke up.
Okay.
We just spent a lot of time together. Mm-hmm. And I guess we had different views on.
I know exactly what you mean. Yep, been in those situations.
But what was cool was everyone from that band went on to do things.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Have you ever thought of having a little reunion? Like,
Yeah, we have.
you have, yeah,
but it doesn't work.
Doesn't happen.
It doesn't work.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, maybe it will someday.
We laugh about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So things are starting to snowball. Yeah, Christine, Anu, and then what else? What else was going on?
So Richard Clapton.
Richard Clapton. Then leading up to Australian Idol.
Okay, so what happens is I played with Richard for about 5 years. Then I joined Tina Arena's band.
Mm-hmm. And this was with Kerry.
With Kerry
Yep.
Buchanan. Mm. Oh, no, actually, so it was with Kerry, but it was Terapi originally.
Right, okay.
So when that band was put together, it was Terapi on drums.
Right, okay.
Nick Sinclair.
Yep.
Joe Bashoran who was MDing. He's an English musician. And then he left and Paul Gray joined and Kerry Buchanan. And that ended up being for years, the band.
Right.
Yeah. So what happened was, that was an awesome experience because I was a Tina Arena fan at the time. You know, it was like, that was massive. Because of all if you're into Tina, you know about JR on drums and, you know, all the Michael Thompson, all the people that played on her albums, you know.
When I first came to Australia in 1994, I think that's when that Don't Ask came out. 94, was it? End of 94?
I can't remember what year.
Early 95.
Yeah.
Maybe that's when the album came out, I'm not sure. But and of course it was all over the radio and I bought the CD and I used to jam to it, play drums to it.
Killer album,
right?
yeah.
Yep.
Those two albums, In Deep. And so what happens is playing with Tina and Idol starts. We're on tour and we're watching it on TV. Like I remember we'd do a gig and then the whole band would hang out in Tina's room and we'd be watching Idol. And once the season finished for that first year of Idol, they had a tour to do. It was huge, this Idol tour. And Nick Sinclair put my name in to Dave Pritchard, who was working in the Idol band, because they needed a guitar player. So I nearly didn't take the gig, you know, because at the time Tina was talking about going to play in London. And I'm like, you know, I didn't really know how big this Idol thing was going to be, you know. And, so I nearly didn't take it. Luckily I did because what came after it was massive.
Launch pad, right?
Yeah, it was huge. So I went on, did the tour. Then they asked me to be on the TV show. So I did that for 5 years. I did that. And off the back of each season, you'd get work, you know. So after I went on tour with Shannon Knoll, that was, he did this 10-week, 70 shows, sold-out tour. It was biggest thing I've seen, you know, like for Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just kept going. So I went on tour with Anthony Kalia, ended up playing with Jessica Mauboy. Yeah, it just kept going like that.
Yep.
You know, tours. In the meantime, other things are happening. Ronan Keating was coming out, playing on Idol. I get asked to play for him, so I played with him for ages every time he would come out to Australia. Get asked back to play for Chris Isaak on the Australian Idol, and when I'd already left, and it was
nuts.
Just there was a lot going on, man. Yeah.
And then you did the first, is it 2 or 3 seasons of The Voice?
3 seasons.
3 seasons.
Yeah.
Right.
So again, back in there. TV.
Yeah. TV land, TV world.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you compare the two animals?
Very different. Because at that stage, it's years on, The Voice was more polished.
Okay.
Whereas Idol was very real, like in the way of, you know, The Voice has got sort of, you can put some backing tracks in there and, you know, the band plays and everything, but it's still trying to be like the record, you know, whereas Idol wasn't that. Idol was
was all about the live musicians.
It's all just live.
Backing. Yeah, right, understood.
Yeah. Which was pretty exciting. And we used to have some fun on the show too, because we'd go when we were doing the live shows. We had Andrew G. And
James Matheson.
James Matheson,
Yeah.
and whenever we'd go to a commercial break, they'd always play games.
Yeah.
So it would be Andrew G would go out into the audience and say, "Try stump the band," because we used to play songs, riffs, and I'd break into Iron Maiden riffs, and Gordon Rittmeister would start playing. We'd just get each other going. So Andrew G made it this thing. He'd go out into the audience and say, "Try stump the band. Call out a song, they have to play it." So we'd be having fun while on a commercial break. It was really a good vibe. It was really cool.
There must have been that little bit of added pressure that you're on a commercial break. So
yeah, and you try and think what's coming up.
Yeah, what's coming up? How much time we've got, or
Yeah. We rehearsed the day before.
Yep.
It wasn't like, say, the schedule of The Voice. The Voice was a bigger schedule. It was like you just had song after song, like smashing you.
Yeah.
It was a big thing when it first started.
I had in my head that the Australian Idol thing was like full on all day, every day, and that's what I had in my mind. But when I interviewed Gordo on the podcast, he said no, it wasn't like that at all. There was still time in the week to be doing other things.
There you go, do other gigs.
Do other gigs. Yeah. I just had it in my mind. It was like you had to get up 8 a.m. and you're in the studio or whatever all day, and then you've got all the all the shows and all that, and that's your whole week. And he's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, The Voice was like that.
Voice was like that.
But
maybe that's why, because I think The Voice was on around the time that I did interview Gordo, and maybe I just had it in my mind that that's how it all was.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Idol was more like you get together Saturday morning and we run over stuff, and then we come back the next day and we do camera runs and everything, and till the night.
And that was it?
That's it, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. It was easier in that way.
Yeah, right.
But The Voice, I don't know who have you interviewed from The Voice anyway?
Joel Burton.
Okay, Joel wasn't in the band when I was there.
No.
I don't think.
So
he didn't experience the...
Was it Byron?
Yeah, Byron.
Okay.
So it was Byron, Michael Dolce,
Warren Trout was playing drums.
Wazza.
Yep.
Scott Applin. Mm-hmm. What we did on that, the first 3 years, we had like 2 deals going on. We had a contract with a TV company and a contract with Universal.
Oh, I did hear about this.
So what we were doing was we're doing the TV studio stuff. Straight from there, we were locked out. We had a lockout in 301, and we'd go record all the songs for release.
Yep.
So it was just constant. It was really good like that, We had a good deal, and we're constantly working, and everyone was cool, great band,
Yep.
Yeah. But, as all these shows, they just get tighter and tighter.
Yeah.
Budgets get tight.
Of course, yep.
And it disappears.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
You mentioned briefly Russell Crowe, and you've done some recording for him, and then you did some touring with him.
Yeah.
I'm really fascinated about this because the tour that you did with him, and I'll get you to tell the story about how he sort of got to be with his band, but you did a tour last year of Europe and I think
the States.
The States, yep. And we're talking about playing at the Colosseum in Rome. You played in Sicily, didn't you?
Yep. Pompeii.
I mean,
the amphitheatre in Pompeii where Pink Floyd recorded their thing,
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Didn't see that coming.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about it then. So, how did that sort of come about? And you recorded some music with him first? Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I actually played with him back in 2006.
Okay.
So, I played in, it was called...
Was this the 30 odd foot of grunts?
Well,
30 odd foot of grunt?
it had the same initials.
Oh, right.
Tofog, which is 30 odd foot of grunt, but he changed it to The Ordinary Fear of God.
Okay.
When I was in it.
Right.
And we did some cool stuff. We went to New Zealand, went to LA, New York, San Diego, just... Oh, and we had a residency that was going Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane.
Right.
So we'd play the Vanguard every week, down to Melbourne, some club down there, Brisbane. It was just constant, at the time. So that was cool. That was my first introduction to him, and that was it. From there, I went on and did all the other stuff. And now we're back together. So the last, say, 3 years, we started to record. That was the first thing we did. Came together and recorded a whole album, which is out now. You should check out. Pros and Cons, Indoor Garden Party.
Nice.
And that's a pretty cool record because we all sort of, it was done, sort of the old way of
so it was a collaboration?
Yeah, band being together. He had, there's some covers there and there's some original stuff, but it's basically the band sitting in the studio and playing through stuff and working out how we're going to approach each tune and what direction we want it to go in. And, it was really cool.
Like the good old days.
Yeah, it was really cool. So when it came time to doing shows, you're playing, it feels comfortable.
Yep.
So it's not like, say, joining some artist and having to, recreate their music. It's like it's your parts on this record that you're playing live.
So you got a bit more sort of ownership.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, we did that album, and then the last 2 years we've been doing summer tours over in Europe. So we did a tour of Italy in, what are we now, 25, 24, 23. We went to Italy. We did about a month, I think. And then last year we did a massive tour. It was like 3 months. We went to Italy. We did Italy, whole bunch of Italy dates. Scotland, Ireland, England, Paris, and over to the States. And that was we had a good time over there too.
Yep.
I got to do some gigs I never thought I would do over there, like playing the Whiskey A Go-Go in LA.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
I felt at home.
Well, there was a little history in there.
Oh, just walking in that room and I'm like, oh my God, Eddie Van Halen used to play in here, and just felt like, oh God, I can't wait. I had the Marshall quad box and I was ready for it,
Awesome.
We had a great night.
Awesome.
Really cool.
Awesome. It's a interesting sort of experience where you're able to tour Europe, and I mean, because some you call him an independent artist, right? Russell Crowe is an independent artist, right? And some independent artists are only when limited, I limited that. So I was going to say good for, but that's downplaying it. Sort of limited to Europe, right? And then they try to go to the States and it's no good. But, we're talking about back in the day, the biggest Hollywood movie star.
Yeah. Yeah, massive.
Massive, the biggest in the world, right?
Yeah.
Who's now fronting a band.
Yep.
Oh, well, sorry, he's always sort of fronted bands.
Yeah.
But, that would just open up so many different venues and
this is not
countries.
normal.
Not normal. Yeah, you
said
that bbefore we started recording. It's not normal.
Yeah, the opportunities that come his way, because of who he is too. It's playing in front of the Colosseum in the Temple of Venus is ridiculous. I remember going to do sound check and it was scorcher. It was like really hot.
Yeah,
I'm looking at like this ancient place, and I've got like a Marshall quad box and, and my guitars and everything. I'm just doing sound check, looking over the Coliseum. I'm like,
you know what's
what the
you know
hell?
what's funny? That I don't know if you've been to the website.
Indoor Garden Party?
Indoor Garden Party website. All these professional photos, but there's also these photos where it was taken on a one of those
A drone?
not a drone, but like a I don't know what you call it, but a camera that takes 360 degrees.
Oh yeah.
Right. So if you find some of these shots, and you do the 360 degrees, there's one shot of you guys. It's your backs. So the photo was taken from the back, but you do the rotation, and then there's a stack of guitar cases leaning up against this Roman relic, right? This block of stone that's, how old? Like I'm thinking, it's surreal, right?
Yeah, it is.
And then there's a you're over like from the back, you're over to the right.
Yep.
And I think you're sort of looking up, and then the shot is of the Coliseum.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
I know. It's crazy.
And so was it a night gig?
Yeah, so it was at night.
Right. So is the Coliseum lit up?
It did have lights on it, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But it's not sort of bright, shining sort of thing. It was lit up. But yeah, so we're facing it. We're looking at it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Crazy. I love Rome, man. Have you been to Rome?
Haven't been to Rome, and we've, like I said, we're going to Italy this year, but we've decided against Rome because it's the Jubilee year or something.
Right.
It's supposed to be an extra so many million people.
Oh, it's going to be crazy.
So, and especially with everything that's going on with the Pope and all that.
Yeah.
So, no,
it'll blow you away.
We're going to Verona instead.
Nice. Well, I've gone there a few times with Lily, so we just love that place, What's funny is I did say to Russell, I'm hoping this happens at some stage, but I said, okay, we played actually, I've got a story to tell. So The first year we went over to Italy, we played at these movie studios where they did all these classic 70s movies. Right,
okay. Like the sound stages?
Yeah.
You played on the...
Yeah, so we played at this, it was like a little Coliseum. And around it was, there was a show called Rome that was filmed at this place. And it's just models of Pantheon and all that mini, for the TV show. Anyway, we play in this place that looks like the Coliseum. And on that day, on that performance, there was, in one of the songs, there's a guitar solo where I kick in and my pedals cut out, right? And it happened twice throughout the night. So then the show finishes, we go backstage. Russell's like, man, what the fuck happened to that, in that song? I said, I don't know, dude, the pedals cut out. It was maybe it was the amp shit itself. I was pushing it too hard. I don't know, But I said that's what you get for playing a fake Coliseum, right?
Yeah, right.
So we laughed about it.
Right.
Next year,
he's probably never forgot. Yeah.
We're there.
Right. Okay.
And my thing is now, okay, we've played the Coliseum, but we haven't made it until we play the Acropolis in Greece.
Yeah.
Right, so
maybe next year.
We're aiming at Greece.
Nice.
Hopefully.
Nice. I thought you were going to say we're going to play inside the Coliseum. Inside. Yeah.
Yeah, no, if we go to Greece, that'll be awesome.
Yeah. So going back to playing with Russell Crowe, right, so I'm curious as to, I would imagine that a lot of the crowds, the punters, are coming to see Russell the movie star, right? And then go, oh shit, he can sing, because he's quite a good singer, right? Yeah. So did you see any? Was he sort of treated like a movie star?
Yeah.
Really? Right.
They freak out when they see him.
Wow.
Yeah. It's funny being on stage with him, actually, because like, you know, say I'm up the front doing a solo in one of the songs. If I look out into the audience, if he's back having a swig of his wine, you know, a glass of wine, that's where they're looking.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, yeah, it's okay.
Have you heard the story about, there's a John Farnham story, Little River Band. When he joined and was playing in Little River Band, I can't remember who the guitarist was. It was not Steve Housden, but one of the other guys. Don't know, I'm not sure. But anyway, they told John that he had to stand on a mark, especially when this particular guy was playing a solo, because if he didn't, and if John was just doing his John Farnham thing, the crowd weren't watching the guitar player. They're watching John Farnham.
Of course. Farnham's a powerhouse, man.
Yeah,
he's a star.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It's funny. The other thing that's funny being on stage with Russell is there's times like, Stuart Kerwin stands next to me, right, with his trumpet. And I'll say to Stewie sometimes, we should move back a little bit and let Russell be, you know, up forward. So whenever we try to do that, Russell likes to be within the band.
Yeah, okay.
So he doesn't even notice.
He doesn't like being
he
a
just
front
comes.
man. He comes back with us.
He comes back with us. Yeah. So it's like that's what he wants. You know, he wants to be in it. You know?
Yeah. So now you just got to tuck in behind him.
Yeah, just got to be aware of it.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, that's certainly a very unique gig, right? You're also saying to me too, like earlier about some tours very tight budget, but whereas a gig like that, you got to bring all your partners along. Yeah,
where we can, if it's logistically okay. Right. Like if we're on a tour bus, we can't.
Yeah, right. Okay.
You can't have extra people on there, but most of the time we can have our partners. If they're you know, like Lily comes along. If she's not working, you know, if she can take some time off. She came to the whole American tour, you know. So, you know, how many bands have that, you know? And you do get to see a lot of, like normally in a normal band, it's really tight. You go in, sound check, blah, 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 you know, play your show, get up next day, you travel, next, you know. So you're not really seeing anything. With Russell, it's a bit different. You know, he's not the norm, you know, type of schedule. You get to go out, experience places. Like he loves to hang out and organise things, and you know, we all play tennis. That's another thing. You know, you want to be in this band, you better be good at tennis because we're competitive.
Yeah,
you know. So, yeah, it's
awesome.
good fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I hope that continues for you.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, we were meant to go this year to Europe twice.
Right.
There was a plan. We were going to go to Greece, but his schedule changed with movies.
Right, okay.
So he's looking at doing 2026.
Awesome.
Over, I don't know where. We'll go wherever he wants to go.
Tells you got to go.
And we do have a show in Sydney actually coming in December 20th. We're at this Enmore Theatre.
Oh wow, awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know what the plan will be leading up to that. You might want to do some warm up stuff, and you know. Yeah,
good stuff.
Looking forward to it.
So what do you got coming up?
So I've got a bunch of different things, really. In a couple of weeks, I'll be doing British Invasion show, which is all, you know, all that British 70s
And you
rock.
usually play is it the Bridge? We
do it. We did do it at the Bridge. This time it's at the Juniors in Kingsford. This weekend I'm doing Olivia Newton-John show with Susanna Morano.
Right. Yep.
And Wazza on drums.
Yep.
What else? It's just things like that, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things. Oh, yeah, there's other shows like, you know, those big shows that that they put on with all different artists, where you play for Eurogliders, and so I've got a bunch of those coming throughout the year.
Right.
Which is Wendy, with Wendy Matthews. I can't remember which acts. It's all Aussie acts,
right?
So you've got to be the house band for them.
That's cool. Well, I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah,
finally.
Yeah, it's been great, man.
Yeah, man.
It's it's funny. Being a musician and getting older, there always is that thing in the back of your head. Is that it? Am I done? And then something happens. Something comes up.
Yeah.
It's a weird career. It's not normal.
Yeah.
If you sort of dedicate yourself to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're in a good spot there. You're sort of amongst a group that were there a long time ago, and I believe will be there right to the end.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
Sweet as, man. It's good talking to you. And please release more music.
I will.
Yep.
There'll be more coming.
That's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. All right, Chris. Take it easy, bro.
Thanks, mate.
See you, man.
Bye.